Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song is a greater story.
Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music. Deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music. Deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music. Deeper than music.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Deeper Than Music Radio, behind every great song, there's an even greater story. I'd like to say hello to everybody listening to us on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Also want to announce as well that we just launched our Roku channel. That's on our new platform, Nious Media. So if you have your Roku or smart TV, check out our channel, Nious Media. So today we have our monthly or semi-monthly series with our partners here across the pond, UK, Final Cut Film Reviews. We have Dino of Final Cut Film Reviews. And how you doing, man? And I'll let you take it over from here.
Yeah, first of all, good morning, afternoon, or good evening, everyone, wherever you may be. And I'm doing all right, but obviously under quarantine like everyone else is. And I'm just getting there, I'm assuming everyone else is. So how are you doing tonight, Marcus?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just sitting here, I have to stop watching the news.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting caught up on some seasons that I haven't watched in a while or just kind of left off. So now that we have time, right?
Always have time, yeah. Right. So since there's not really any movies to review, considering everywhere's shut and there's nothing coming out, I thought we could actually do a streaming special where we can give the ladies and gentlemen our tips on what we would watch. I've made 3 lists, one for Disney Plus, one for Netflix, and one for Amazon. But obviously I'm in the UK, so obviously I can't really say for the American version, just because it might be different, and obviously you get more channels than we do. So I thought I'd start off with Disney Plus, which I know you guys have had since last year, and we in the UK have only just got.
And before we begin, what do you think of Disney Plus, man, and what are your faves?
Well, we've only had it about a week, but I must admit the choice is a bit bigger than I thought it would be. I spent 2 hours, for the last 3 days, every morning going through for bits and bobs, and I was actually quite surprised what there is. In fact, let me just give you a list of what there is. There's Lion King, both animated and remake, same with Aladdin. There's the 2 Tron movies, which gamers will love. I mean, there's all the Pirates of the Caribbean's on there, Nutcracker and 4 Realms, Maleficent, Into the Woods. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot more than you might actually think. You just think Disney, it's not. It's £6 or $8 a month. It's not even that good. Oh, believe me, there's a lot on there. What I have been watching is National Geographic's Supercar Mega Build, where it's actually based in England, actually not very far from where I live. Basically what this guy does, he basically buys cars and sets his engineers and mechanics a challenge. So the first one I ever watched, as we discussed before we came on air, the Bugatti Veyron was at one point the most powerful, most expensive car there was. He said to his guys, right, you have 100 grand, build me a car that can do a standing quarter mile quicker than that can do it. So if you like that sort of a challenging sort of TV series, that's for you. I haven't got into Mandalorian yet, but considering I've looked at near enough every spoiler there is, I kind of have already watched it. But I would actually recommend watching that if anyone hasn't watched it already.
Yeah, no, it's I saw like 3 episodes so far. It's pretty good. It's pretty engaging.
I should point out that even though you guys in the US have already had it, we're still getting it on a weekly basis. I think I'm right in saying we've already had 2 episodes, so every Friday, starting next Friday, we'll have it on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait a bit longer before we can compare notes on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I'm only 3 episodes in, so we can play catch up and then we can get it going.
I tell you what, there is one thing I'd like to discuss with you, since we are big fans of the 80s and 90s. There's a lot of like 90s throwbacks and cartoons that we grew up on. I'll just give you the movie bits of the 90s throwbacks. There's the two Sister Act movies. You know, well, obviously everyone knows Cool Runnings, a tale about the first Jamaican bobsleigh team. That's on there.
Yeah.
Muppet Treasure Island's on there. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is on there. Hocus Pocus. The Three Musketeers with Charlie Sheen and Kiefer Sutherland and Chris O'Donnell. That's on there. Where are we? Oh, yes. 90s cartoons. I'm going to tell you these 5, right? And tell me if you remember them.
Okay.
So there's Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
I remember that one.
Yep. Darkwing Duck's on there.
Remember that one.
Well, considering it's actually been remade, so technically there is 2 lots, but DuckTales is on there as well.
Okay, I remember DuckTales, the 90s version, yep.
Yeah, 90s version. Gummy Bears as well.
Okay, that was one of my favorite cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons, so I remember, okay.
Oh, I used to watch them every Saturday morning religiously. And the Goof Troop with Pluto, I think, was it Goofy? Oh, it was Goofy. Was it Goofy? I'm sure it was, yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was Goofy, yeah, Goof Troop, yeah, I remember Goof Troop, yeah.
That's just basically some of them, but obviously there's only so much we can actually recommend because the channel's still in its infancy. However, obviously give it time, then obviously there'll be a bit more that we can recommend. But there's a lot of movies, a lot.
And I wanted to ask you, now that we have it, ask you a question. Do you think, do you foresee Disney being a contender with Amazon and Netflix?
With Netflix, I'll say yes.
Okay.
But obviously, like everything, you have to give it time before it can get there. But obviously, it just depends because we've still got the 20th Century Fox sale going through, so they haven't technically got all that through yet.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime, well, I think the thing is, usually I just look at Amazon Prime and think, right, I've got it for 2 reasons and that's it. But I actually went through its library and I was actually quite shocked what I found on there. So I think it might surpass Amazon, but it will need a lot longer than it will with Netflix.
Yeah, I think I think you're right because I find Amazon in the beginning, some of their series they had, they had like this thing. I don't know if they had this in the UK where they would have a trailer, if you will, a pilot, and then you voted on if the pilot, whether they had some pretty good movies, but I don't see those anymore. They have a couple good series. There's a few that I've been disappointed in, but I feel it's not as strong. And I think you're right. I think Disney, if anything, they can first take Amazon for the number 2 spot because with Amazon, with me, it's kind of hit or miss.
I've started watching it more, but the reasons I'll give is when we get to the Amazon part. But as far as Disney Plus goes, there's obviously enough in there for the kids. Movies wise, I mean, there's what isn't there? There's all the 90s ones that we grew up watching, like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, all that lot. Even Pirates of the Caribbean's on there with Johnny Depp from when we were a bit older. But that's just so you get the idea of it. Obviously, there's Frozen on there, so if any mums and dads are listening and wanting to know what to do without the kids for 2 hours, just put that on and they'll be happy Frozen. With that.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yes, there is since this is a musical show, there is a lot of music on Disney Plus. Obviously, we'll start with Hannah Montana. Obviously, who doesn't know Hannah Montana?
Oh, wow.
There's these are TV series, by the way, because there is actually, remember Big Hero 6 with the massive inflatable robots?
Yeah.
He's got his own series. Obviously, there's Phineas and Ferb, New DuckTales, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. I mean, Camp Rock's there with Demi Lovato, Wizards of Waverly Place with Selena Gomez. There's just literally everything. But I'll tell you what is an interesting one. There's a couple of movies, I think it is, called The Descendants, which is basically when the offspring of Disney's famous villains are offered a chance of redemption. So they join the prep school with the offspring of iconic Disney heroes, which sounds like either fun or a train wreck, depending on which way you look at it.
So basically, in a nutshell, they put all Disney, with all their content, they put everything on there. All their series, movies, cartoons.
Yep. Even the shorts, the Pixar ones you get, they're on there as well. Because I can't remember which one I saw, but there was a really short volcano short. I remember seeing it on one of the Pixar movies. I watched it cinema, and that's actually is on there. There's also some documentaries as well. I mean, there's a Pixar one through the years, which is basically cartoons and documentaries, including the Pixar story, which was a look at Pixar's behind the scenes. There's also a Pixar in Real Life, which is a live-action series featuring the characters from Toy Story, Wall-E, and Brave.
So they got a Pixar one, and then they actually got a live-action one? That's pretty... That looks...
Yeah,
that
with characters from it,
Yeah.
Oh, if there's any Marvel fans listening, and more than likely there will be because of the time we live in, there is a lot of Marvel stuff on there. Because obviously there's the MCU, there's all the TV series like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Inhumans, Agent Carter. I haven't... Ghost Rider was part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., wasn't he? Excuse me. However, for those who, like me, liked the 90s X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Hulk cartoon series, they are on there as well.
So, do you think, because remember, Netflix had those Marvels where they have Lexington Steel, not Lexington, I'm sorry, Steel Cage, or Luke Cage.
No, Luke Cage, yeah.
And then they also had, what else did they have? Daredevil?
Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage. And they also had, the Defenders, which is what they were. They had, I don't want to say a movie, sort of intertwined in the four. But they haven't got anything like that yet. But give it a couple of months and we'll have Deadpool.
Okay. Do you think those will be over there? They'll transfer the ones that they had on Netflix canceled, or you think those are done?
As far as making new stuff for that lot, they are done. However, I seem to have heard that everyone at Marvel was really impressed with the way Charlie Cox played Matt Murdock. So rumour has it his stint with Daredevil might not be done yet. Which I hope, because I loved him as Daredevil.
No, it was a good series. It was a very good series.
Yeah, there's a lot of Spider-Man animated series on there. Obviously, there's a 90s original. There was a Spider-Man Unlimited, which I used to watch, which was actually quite good. Because where, J. Jonah Jameson, the biggest broadcasting loudmouth ever to appear in a comic book movie of all, well, his son was a shuttlecraft pilot, and he basically went to an Earth called Counter-Earth, which was hijacked by Venom and Carnage. It was only it was like a one-season cartoon series in the late 90s to early 2000s. It only lasted a series, but I absolutely loved it. So I would absolutely recommend that.
So I take it you love what you see, so it was worth the wait for the UK to finally get Disney Plus.
Yeah, ever since you guys got it, I'm like, come on, I want it. When is it coming? It was actually supposed to be launched in a couple of days, but Disney decided to, and I bet they're glad they did as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries, and it's perfect timing too, considering everybody's social distancing, so now there's content to watch.
But there's too much competition and there's too much content to watch. That's the problem.
Yeah. And I rank. I said right now Amazon Prime for me is second, but I could easily see it being third now that Disney Plus is. We'll just get time. We'll give it about a year or two and just see how things go. Because obviously we were supposed to have Phase 4 content coming as well, but obviously with everything that's coming on, that's going to be a bit delayed. So it'll put, I think it'll put Disney's progression off by a year. But I think at the end, Disney will still do better than Amazon and Netflix just because of everything that they've got, everything that's coming, and everything, all the comic book stuff that is coming, that isn't come yet. I mean, there's WandaVision, there's Falcon and Winter Soldier, there's all the movies they've got coming up. There's supposed to be a She-Hulk TV series coming up soon as well. So wow.
When they get off when they all get filming and put on there, that'll be that. Oh, I would just like to say something for all the Star Wars fans that A, have got it, and B, are wondering if Star Wars Episode 9 is coming out earlier than it should be. I have a sort of answer, but obviously it's rumourville, so don't take it with a pinch of salt. Rumour has it it's still supposed to be released in August when it was originally supposed to be released. It's not being released early.
So it's not part of the whole, because now this whole thing is affecting the movies. So now everything is early access.
Yeah, I think Frozen 2 was actually released a couple of weeks earlier, and I think some people might have thought that Episode 9 was appearing that way as well, but it doesn't look like it is.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So with your social distancing, what has been your social distancing? What have you been catching up on, like as far as series and things of that nature?
God, what have I been watching? Obviously Supercar Mega Mode, which as a petrol head I can't speak enough of. Do watch a fair bit of Friends and Big Bang, but then again, it's Friends and Big Bang. Why would you not?
Yeah.
I've been watching. I tell you what, I have been watching. Obviously, it's on the Amazon bit, but I can say it now anyway. Been a big Star Trek fan for over 30 years, so I have been watching the new Star Trek series on there. I have seen Star Trek Discovery, which obviously being a Trekkie, they're not bad. But if I had to give a choice out of the two, I'd easily choose Sir Patrick Stewart over it.
And what do you think about the Amazon Prime, the Star Trek series? Is it up to par as far as the previous Star Trek legacy?
It's a lot different than the Next Generation, obviously, because obviously that was in the 80s. Excuse me, they had it done a certain way, but this time it's kind of like everything's gone out the window. Obviously, it's been 30 years, obviously, since both the original Next Generation was made and when this one was made, so was the time. And the Star Trek universe is a bit brittle, we'll say, because I take it you've seen Star Trek with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto, haven't you?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, well, the beginning of that, when Eric Banner's ship comes back in time, that was actually what was actually happening in that timeline. So this is actually after that has actually happened. So for those who haven't seen Star Trek, I'll just do it briefly. Romulus' sun, which is where the Romulans are based, it was in the middle of a supernova, and Leonard Nimoy's Spock tried to help them, but evidently it created a black hole that sucked Eric Banner's ship and Leonard Nimoy's Spock back in time, and basically everything that we Trekkies have known since, obviously, William Shatner and Patrick Stewart has changed, whereas this Star Trek series carries on what was actually happening after that, instead of carrying on with what would happen if that happened at Chris Pine's.
Yeah. So it's just a continuation, but now on the updated times. Because I forgot, man. Yeah. Star Trek Generations and all that. That was a good 30 years ago. I didn't realize how long it's been.
It's been quite a long time. Right, so since we're on the subject of Star Trek Picard, shall we move on to Amazon Prime?
Yes.
And we can finish off with Netflix?
Yeah.
Now, I should just like to point out to everyone listening, I have literally done my really, really long share of research on this, and I have actually been genuinely surprised by what I've found on Amazon. There's more on here than you'd think. I mean, I'm looking at a list of all the Amazon originals here, and there's loads. I'll just give you an example. There's obviously Star Trek Picard, which we've just been talking about. There's a Coldplay documentary on here. There's a Jonas Brothers history on here. There's a few Grand Tour ones. There's a few James May ones. There's a Purge TV series. There's Good Omens with Michael Sheen and David Tennant. There's actually a fashion one on here called Making the Cut, which features Heidi Klum. There's obviously Al Pacino. Who doesn't know who Al Pacino is? It's actually a TV series about him and his organisation looking for Nazis who were hidden in New York in the 70s. There's Jack Ryan, as in Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. There's Bosch, which is based on a series of books. There's Mr. Robot with Academy Award winner Rami Malek. There's Into the Badlands. There's a documentary with Andy Murray. There's actually, if there is any sports fans listening, there's All or Nothing, which is basically a look at how certain teams go through either a month a season or however long it's on for. I mean, there's Brazil, there's a Brazilian football team, there's Manchester City, there's Arizona Cardinals, Philadelphia Eagles, LA Rams, Dallas Cowboys, the New Zealand rugby team. So, like, there's more on here for sports than there is on actually anywhere else.
That is true, but now because of this pandemic, I mean, that is, a lot of sports things have been canceled. So,
like somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did actually go through Amazon's horror library they have. I should just point out as well, this is all Amazon Prime. This isn't this isn't when you can rent it for £4 or pay for it for 10. This is all Amazon Prime. So the horror is actually, I think you'll actually want to watch some of these, and I'm actually quite shocked by what's on there. There's Midsommar with Florence Pugh. Mm-hmm. There's an Eli Roth produced horror movie called Haunt. There's some Rob Zombie movies on here. There's Three from Hell, which is one of his new ones. There's A House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
31's on there. There's a few Saw movies on there. There's one I think there's 2 Final Destinations, 2 and 5. Purge movies on there. Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead's on there, so you know what I'm watching tonight, because I absolutely love that one. There's Drive Angry with Nicolas Cage and Amber Heard. There's The Quiet Ones with Jared Harris and Sam Claflin. It's kind of like an exorcism one, but done with university students. Yeah. There's Suspiria, that was released last year with Dakota Johnson. All the Boys Love Mandy Lane with Amber Heard. And the last one I found is Wolf Creek, which is an Australian movie about a killer in the Australian outback. I have watched that, and it is terrifyingly good. But if there is anyone, and we have actually discussed this before we came on air, there is actually an Italian horror movie from the 70s from a certain gentleman who Italian horror fans will know by the name of Dario Argento, and he is quite renowned for his horror. It's the original Suspiria, which was actually voted in the top 20 once of the most scariest movies to watch. So if anyone has not got anything to watch but does actually want to watch a nice, decent 70s horror movie, I'd recommend that. There's also, if there's any fans of the X-Files, you have 11 seasons on Amazon Prime as well. Now, I'll tell you what I did find as well, Marcus. This is literally how surprised I am. I actually found a movie starring Grace Kelly and Cary Grant.
Oh, what's the name of that movie?
To Catch a Thief.
To Catch a Thief. That sounds very familiar.
There's a lot. And, I've got some music and dance movies as well for you. There's Beyond the Lights, Fisherman's Friends, the original Phantom of the Opera with Gerard Butler, The Runaways that's charts the story of Joan Jett starring Kristen Stewart. There's Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley's Begin Again. There's Les Mis with Hugh Jackman, Dirty Dancing, obviously. There's a Beatles documentary called The Touring Years. There's We Are Your Friends with Zac Efron. There's a Little Shop of Horrors from the 60s here. And The Festival, which my lady absolutely loves and would definitely recommend it to anyone. There's also 6 seasons of Glee on there. There's 5 seasons of Empire. If anyone is looking for like a Taylor Swift style documentary, there's a J-Lo one on it. There's Pink, and there's a Lin-Manuel Miranda one called One Shot to Broadway, which is what he became famous for. There is a lot of movies. I'll just show you how much there is. There's Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Hunger Games quadrilogies there, Brokeback Mountain's there, all the Ocean's trilogy with George Clooney is there, the Notebook's there, the 70s Battle Beyond the Stars with George Pepper, Robert Vaughn and John Saxon, Divergent trilogy is there, Bride Wars is there, Sucker Punch is there, Just My Luck, Deepwater Horizon, Dear John, Green Book, Olympus and London Has Fallen, Las Vegas, just so you get a general idea of what there is on Amazon movies-wise.
Yeah, so a lot of content. Definitely a lot
A
of
lot
content.
more than people might think. Speaking of what we might think, there's actually some 30s and 40s cartoons as well. I found there's Woody Woodpecker, there's Popeye, Betty Boop, Fraggle Rock, The Dreamstone when I was growing up, the Jetsons is there, Yu-Gi-Oh's there. There's a load of there's even I think it's the 80s 80s Adventures of Tintin on there as well. I think it's the 80s. It's either the 80s or 40s. It's one or the other. But yeah, there is a lot for the one who loves their golden oldie cartoons.
Oh yeah. I remember they did a reboot, a movie like early.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. It was it? I don't know. It was sometime in the last decade. I do remember that much because it had Andy Serkis in it.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a documentary on here that anyone who did used to like Jerry Anderson's Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet likes. There's actually a documentary called Filmed in Super Mario Nation.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just like there's all this stuff on there and no one ever knew about it or no one even looked for it or could look for it.
But now you have the time.
Yeah, now everyone has the time. We found it.
Yeah.
I just would like to point out that there is, if you like your comedy, there's some stuff on there as well. There's a couple of Laurel and Hardy movies. There's Whose Line Is It Anyway, the US version, which I do actually like. I haven't watched it in a while, but I do actually like it. There's also the UK version on there as well, I believe. Comedy wise, Jason Manford, Sarah Millican, but obviously they're just a few of what there actually is. Oh yes, I'll tell you what I did find there a couple of weeks ago. Anyone who has seen the Australian TV series Home and Away, sorry, it's a soap. It's been going, it must be in about 35 years. The very first 2 seasons of it are on there. This is when I was about 4 years old. That's how far going back it is, and I'm in my late 30s now. Mm. Do you want me to give you a quick rundown of what TV series there is? There is a lot, but I will go through a few of them just so everybody knows what there is.
Yeah. Could you break that down for us?
Yeah. There's 1 season of SWAT with Shemar Moore. There's 14 series of Criminal Minds, 8 series of House, Fleabag's on there, 4 seasons of A 4 with Jamie Dornan from 50 Shades. There's Downton Abbey, Grey's Anatomy, Ugly Betty, Bates Motel, Scream Queens, Roswell, Fireflies on there, Lie to Me with Tim Roth's on there, 9 seasons of NCIS LA, and 14 seasons of NCIS. There's One Tree Hill, The Expanse, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Walking Dead, Supernatural, 100, Modern Family, South Park, Lucifer, Quantico. There's all this. There's all that. So if you are a fan or you haven't seen them yet, head to Amazon Prime. They are there.
Wow. No, it's a lot of content.
It's a lot of content, isn't it? A lot of content that you either want to watch or don't know where it is.
Yeah, but I figured now, people got time.
Yeah.
We got time. Stay home.
Yeah. Speaking of which, just to finish, there is actually a workout. There's an hour-long workout of Zumba on there. I did not expect... I expect to find a lot of things on Amazon. I do not expect to find a Zumba workout on there.
And we brought up something, man, that I didn't think about. I think Amazon's trying to carve their niche is the athletics and sports.
Yeah, because I think a lot of tennis is shown on Amazon. Premier League is shown on Amazon. This is Premier League football, by the way, where I'm from. Because they have about a quarter of the matches now because they've paid however many millions it is. Yeah. So there is actually a lot of other sports if you want to watch it. I'm not sure if they're doing like replays of anything, but I do know, that WWE is showing a lot of its old pay-per-views on YouTube. F1's showing old Grand Prix. I'm trying to think. There is a lot of companies that are or YouTube channels that are showing other stuff.
Yeah, I heard Hasbro was doing all like the G.I. Joes and Transformers on YouTube.
Yeah, I actually saw that before it came out. I thought I've never watched any of them, and I would absolutely love to.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Just Let me just see if there's anything else on this list. I've gone through all that. Oh, yes. I'll tell you what I will say. If there's any F1 esports fans listening, there's a load of drivers, celebrities who are doing, and YouTubers who are doing like a virtual esports series, which is just basically playing last year's F1s, but playing on tracks around the world. And apparently, if you look on YouTube, look for Lando Norris phoning all the other drivers up. It's absolutely hilarious. It's even worse when he phones his teammate. Which is, I don't know what's worse, not knowing who your teammate is, or the fact that you've actually been racing with him for one season. You know what he's like. You should know what he sounds like. And it's like, who is this?
Yeah. As far as
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I bet that never happened in NASCAR, did it?
No, I don't think it ever has happened in NASCAR. As far as gaming, what have you been gaming a lot lately, or?
Yeah, well, I've got my fair share. Obviously, I have PlayStation Plus, so I am guaranteed 2 games every month as long as I still have it up. This has actually not been too bad. Next month's PlayStation Plus games have just been released. There's Uncharted 4, which is kind of like an Indiana Jones game, if you like.
Yeah.
There's actually an Uncharted movie being developed with Spider-Man himself, Tom Holland, in the frame for it. I think they had sort of done original cast. They'd done the casting, but obviously it hadn't gone any further forward. Yeah. So that'd be interesting. I've never played them, but I do hear from what reputation I've heard that it is absolutely quite good. What else is next month? There's usually about 2 or 3, but in the last couple of months, I have actually had 2 Sonic games. One called Sonic Mania, the other one called Sonic Forces.
Okay, yeah, Sonic Forces is pretty good. Yeah, I actually have that game.
But actually, this weekend, and if anyone has actually got a PlayStation Plus, it might be too late by the time this goes out, but there's actually a new Predator game that Ilphonic, who did Friday the 13th, have been working on. They've released the free trial for this weekend. It's a good game. It just obviously has its flaws, which, to be fair, I could take about an hour because there is that much. But it captures the essence of a Predator movie, which is all that it needs to do for me to be interested. By the way, there is the infrared mode. There's the plasma cannon. There's the disc. There's the massive spear from Predator 2. But obviously, with it being a free trial, you only get so much, because I actually played it near enough every evening, and I've unlocked everything. Even Old Painless from Predator that Jesse Ventura used is there. It's not very good, but it's there. So I think the game itself is released in either 2 or 3 weeks. British pounds wise, it starts at 35 for the ordinary and 50 for the collector's edition. I'm not sure how much that is in American dollars.
So I'd imagine it'd
be about 40 and 55.
Yep,
something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not going to say buy it, because Ilphonic do a good job, but I think if this is basically what the game's supposed to be, it doesn't look like it will get some. But matchmaking has been the biggest problem, because you just spend ages and ages waiting for people to join the queue. And the only problem is they never do. I mean, I tried it for about an hour and a half, and I had 2 games as Fireteam, and I couldn't even get into one as Predator. So that gives you a bit of an idea about how bad the matchmaking is. But it is a good game.
You said it has all the essence of the Predator movies, which is good. So if you're like a Predator fan and followed it since its inception, you'll appreciate this video game.
Yeah, apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger has done some voiceover work for it.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
My favorite line is like, "You are one ugly."
You want to know something? That is actually said before you blow yourself up. If you're a Predator, he does actually say that. He's like, "What the hell?" And then he blows himself up.
Wow, that's funny.
It's actually quite good. By the way, did you know that the voice of the Predator is actually Optimus Prime himself?
Yeah, I found that out, man. I was actually looking at YouTube, and I found the guy. I posted it.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow. I thought that would be something like Frank Welker would do. He was the one who voiced Megatron in the 80s Transformers. I thought that's probably something Frank Welker could do, because Frank Welker's voiced just about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody who was wondering what he's done, he actually voiced Abu in 90s Aladdin. So every time you hear Abu, that's literally what Frank Welker can do, just to start with.
Wow.
Right, just one last bit of business. Let me just find my Netflix one.
Deeper Than Music Radio.
The first one I do actually have on the agenda is Castlevania, which was an old you remember Castlevania on the old SNES?
Yeah, a video. Yeah, it was on the Nintendo Entertainment System as well.
Oh, was it Nintendo? Was it? I know they made one for the SNES. I just couldn't remember which thing it was. There's 3 seasons of Castlevania. I've watched all 3. They are short. They're a bit R-rated, but they are good. There's that. There's DC's Titans, which is basically Dick Grayson leading a load of young heroes. First season's quite dark. The second season is a bit, well, it's good. It's just like I'll tell you what the second season is based on. It's based on the Judas contract, which, according to comic book law, is one of the best Teen Titans stories ever done. And it involves Slade Wilson, who's also known as Deathstroke, and it involves his daughter infiltrating the Teen Titans over something the Titans did to Slade's son. And he hasn't forgiven it, and he hasn't forgiven them for it. But there is, obviously, if you're not a DC fan and you're not really a fan of video games or anime, there is also Star Trek Discovery, 13 Reasons Why, which we know horror fans will be rejoicing when I say Haunting of Hill House, Scream and The Sinner. There's Narcos on there, Orange is the New Black. There's all the Marvel series, which we already talked about. The Witcher's on there, which I have actually watched, and if you like that sort of stuff, you will be in for a treat for it. There's Riverdale, there's Umbrella Academy, which you've been watching and you actually quite like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There's Black Lightning, Lock and Key, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. That's the newest adaptations out. There's Black Mirror, obviously, The Crown, Ozark with Jason Bateman. The 3rd season's just come out there. There's American Idol for anyone who misses a bit of X Factor like stuff in the life. There's RuPaul's Drag Race. Obviously, there's Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. There's From Dusk Till Dawn, which came out ages ago. Although, if I'm being brutally honest, I did watch a bit of it, and all I was literally saying is, I want George Clooney. That's all I wanted. But there is one TV series I have been watching on Netflix, which I actually started watching when I was doing this, when I was looking at what was actually on it. It's called Wu Assassins. It's a Chinese TV show, which basically is kind of like Iron Fist, if you like. And it actually stars, if I'm just hoping I can pronounce his name right, because I've never really pronounced it before. It stars Uko Uwas. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's an Asian UFC fighter or MMA fighter. He's very good. He's a very great martial artist, and it's a supernatural series as well, and it looks absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a bit much, but obviously that was a bit quick, but there is actually a lot on this list that I would recommend. So I just wanted to get it out of the way.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the early access, their $19 business model for movies that are, I mean, obviously the movie industry is hurting, so now they're going direct to stream. Do you think there's a better way they could have done it, like a rental or something like that? Or, I mean, how do you feel about that?
I think, well, just to answer that question, sort of answer it with another question, is Universal apparently have made Trolls World Tour available for, I think it's rent it for as much as you like for a certain price. So what I would have said was, or what I would have done was like say, you could pay a £5 to have, I don't know, say Frozen 2 for the next 2 weeks. And then basically if you want to buy it, well, after everything, the situation that we're in now has gone, that would actually come off the actual price of what we're going to pay for it.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
Yeah. So a bit of a shame, really. But then again, it's just what we live in, what we've got to deal with. There is a load of movies on Netflix that if people either don't know about or haven't watched yet, they can. I definitely would recommend 6 Underground with Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds. I have watched it more than once. It's not his usual sort of, and it is very action-packed. It was done by Michael Bay, who basically loves his explosions, but is quite short on story and everything else like it. There's obviously Bird Box, which everyone knows about. There's Spencer Confidential, starring Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, have you seen that yet?
I haven't seen it yet, but I have seen the trailer for it, and it does actually look quite good.
Yes, it's I want you to watch it, and then we'll talk about it next series. I want to get your thoughts on that.
It's already on my list to watch. There is actually what other movies is there? There's The Silence with Stanley Tucci. It's kind of like The Quiet Place. Mm-hmm. To All the Boys, P.S. I Love You, which is a woman has a high school student has a boyfriend, but then her ex comes into her life and she's like, "What's going on?" There's P.S. I Love You. There's an interesting movie called The Death Note, which is I would say it's supernatural horror where a young teenager finds a supernatural book. You write someone's name in it and they die. Yeah, so just make sure you don't have a long list, otherwise it could get very badly. Obviously, there's Always Be My Maybe with Ali Wong, Randall Park, and Keanu Reeves. And by the way, if there is any Keanu Reeves fans, John Wick is on there. It's only chapter 2, I think, but it is actually on there. There's I Am Mother, which people might have heard about. It's where a mechanical droid raises a teen, only for things to turn deadly when another human survivor shows up. I think it's a post-apocalyptic world. There's actually another version of Jon Favreau's live-action Jungle Book. It's called Mowgli: The Legend of the Jungle, and Benedict Cumberbatch is actually Shere Khan. And movies-wise, there's supernatural movies because there is a lot. There's Annabelle Creation, the Insidious movies. There's a Andy Serkis produced movie called The Ritual, where 4 guys are stranded in the Swedish wilderness, and it's kind of like they all go mad. It's kind of like The Forest, if you like, which starred Natalie Dormer, which came out last year.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there is a horror list as well because I know there's a lot of people who like it. So. There's the 2 Purge movies on there. There's Saw 6 and Final Chapter. There's Jeepers Creepers 3, Candyman, Feral to the Flesh, Luke Evans' Dracula Untold, John Carpenter's Christine, which is the tale of would we say it's a devil-possessed Cadillac? Or is it a demon that possesses a Cadillac? I'm not quite sure which one it is. I'm sure it's the devil-possessed, isn't it?
Yeah. So with that being said, man, we got like 1 minute and 30 seconds.
1 minute.
Yeah, roughly.
I know it's a bit hard. It's a bit hard, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but we covered a lot of ground though.
Yeah.
A lot of ground. I mean, we broke down Amazon, Disney Plus, Netflix.
Yeah. Although I will just say to anyone who has actually got all 3, if you go in the search bar, type whatever you want to watch, it will more than likely be in 1, if not 2, or even 3 of them. So it is worth watching or trying to find out.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, with 50 seconds left, you heard it here from Dino and myself, Final Cut Film Reviews and Deeper Than Music Radio. And again, if you guys do have the Roku channel, please check out our newly launched Roku channel, Nious Media. And this is Mark and Dino signing off for Final Cut Film Reviews and Deeper Than Music Radio.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Deeper Than Music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest. It's deeper than music, deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music.